impact your performance and perception for the rest of the set and not let it snowball. Don't let one mistake snowball into another and another and another. One mistake doesn't matter unless you let that impact you and let that snowball into a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth. And when we're doing the slam, right? It was so apparent. I was like, wait, someone would get anti-aired one time, or someone would wake up uppercut and it would hit one time. And then the player would be like, no, oh my God, I had a perfect. And then they woke up DP and it hit me. And now I have a 90% life lead instead of a 99% life lead. You know what I mean? Like, they would just fall apart. Like, oh my God, it's over. And I'm like, what? Like, they're down 2. They only had 3 bars of dry meter. They spent 2 on a wake up DP. You make them block 2 moves, it's checkmate. Like, you're going to win. Stans would do that constantly. But everyone did it to a degree. But that was Stan's special. He'd be about to end it all after one person woke up deep, like, no, it's over. Oh wait, I won, right? But this was a constant theme with everyone I coached in both slams, is that understanding how consequential losing one interaction is. And then I noticed, like, oh, I should touch on that with these players, especially in a game like Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 is like fast-paced poker, in my opinion. You're gonna lose some hands. Even hands that are you have pocket aces, sometimes you'll lose just because the way the cards are dealt, right? But as long as you keep making good bets over time, you're gonna win. And usually what happens is players let one thing steamroll out of control. And I've won tournament sets where I've gotten perfected, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you can't let that stuff affect you. I've won significant sets where I've gotten perfected, like over top players offline, right? Like, it's gonna happen. I've won that in Street Fighter 4 as well, where perfects are more rare, right? So I think the ability to let that stuff slide is really important. And for me, it's not even like I'm doing one of those, what do they call it earlier in the video? Those cognitive distortions. I'm not even applying a cognitive distortion to try to make it seem better than it is. I just know for a fact that losing is not that big of a deal. Losing one round doesn't matter. Losing one interaction doesn't matter, right? It just doesn't bother me. So, yeah.
Spectacular, but that didn't make his Marvel trophies.
By the way, Karst Mage, thanks for the fresh prime. Appreciate that. Enjoy your mid-tier emotes. And thanks to an anonymous gifter earlier for that gifted sub, by the way. Thank you very much.
Suddenly disappear. When you filter out Spectacular, idle in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. The way he lost in Third Strike was spectacular, but that didn't make his Marvel trophy suddenly disappear.
Right. But that's what I was saying. Look at this. Look at this. I got that one trophy back there, and I got a box full of medals. And then I got my Little League local trophy over there. All right? So for me, I think if I got Evo Moment 37, it would be a little bit harder for that to be my legacy compared to that. It would be just a little bit harder. You know, I think something about needing a couple of extra trophy cases might make it all a little bit easier. What's up, Burnout Fighter? Thank you. The Texas Showdown trophy is very awesome.
Here. When you filter out all the things you've accomplished and only think about that one mistake, you're making a lowlight reel in your head and putting it on repeat. Imagine making a reel of Tiger Woods missing putts and calling him a bad golfer. It's absurd, but your automatic thoughts...
But that's what social media is for. Like, you're not wrong in saying that you shouldn't do it to yourself, but if you put yourself out there enough and you're a competitive player, that's literally what people do, and they will try to... The internet will try to make that the narrative about you. So you don't only have to combat that yourself in your own mind, you also have to combat that when that other people are putting that into other people's minds on a massive scale with more reach than you could ever possibly try to stop. They should make a reel of every missed shot from LeBron James. That reel, if they took every missed shot LeBron James ever took, how many hours of footage would that be? How many shots has LeBron James missed in the NBA, by the way? Oh, 0? Oh, okay. Got you. But for real, like, that's a great example. How many shots has LeBron James missed? His career is what, 20 years now? How many years has he been in the NBA? Absurd. If you focus on every time he failed, you would have so much material. So much material. It's just part of the game.
Love to do that. Anything can seem bad if you censor all its good qualities. Disqualifying the positive. This one goes one step further than mental filter.
For a second, I thought I was going to pull up like a mugshot or something. I don't know.
Disqualifying the positive. This one goes one step further than mental filter. Instead of ignoring the positive things about something, you take it and somehow say it doesn't count. When someone compliments you on your gameplay, you might have an automatic thought like, they're just being nice.
Facts. That's what I do. That's why we got the trash can in the dumpster. TD18XT, thanks for the big 32 months. Appreciate that. You know, the whole dumpster theme and all that is a bit of this mentality of downplaying your own skill and accomplishment and success. But I do think there's different ways to approach it, because I feel sometimes there's a psychological benefit to downplaying yourself to position yourself as the underdog. Now, if you take it to heart, I think that's the problem, where some people like really internalize it as they're trash and can't do it. Also, I think some people get on me sometimes for talking that way. I talk facetiously about these topics in discussion, and they hop in like, no, don't do that. You're so good. You're so great. Blah, blah. I hate that shit. I'm not gonna lie. I hate that. That to me is you're pandering, you're patronizing. That's the right word. You're patronizing. I can't stand being patronized. That is my number one pet peeve, is a patronizing motherfucker. If I fail to achieve my goal because I have high standards for myself and I'm critical of myself in that moment, there's a certain degree of a healthy way to approach that, how critical you are. And I think being critical of yourself when failing to reach a goal is okay. Obviously, if you go too far and you go into despair and you're not able to then take action to then correct the issue and improve, that's a problem. But at the same time, if you're not critical at all, you might not take any action whatsoever. So there is a sweet spot in my opinion. And for my personality type, I like to be critical. I like to be self-critical. I like to speak a little facetiously, speak a little bit with some like a sailor a little bit, kind of have a bit of edge to my my diction choice, and say, man, that was fucking trash. Got to step it up. You know, like sometimes that's how I like to talk, and that's how I like people to talk to me a little bit. But then other people, for other personalities, it doesn't work, right? And I understand that. So it depends on how your brain is wired a little bit. And some people, they shut down in the face of criticism, or they shut down in the face of any kind of negative self-talk. And so for them, obviously, it wouldn't be good. But that's why I have the whole dumpster trash can theme. Because I'll be like, man, that was fucking trash. Got to step it up or whatever. But then also, the flip side of it is I always say, even if you're trash, you can still win, right? So it also implies that you're always trying to self-improve. But at the same time, it positions you as the underdog who can win from the unlikely position. And I think having an underdog mentality is very advantageous, in my opinion. So I've talked like that publicly on Twitter before, and people will come in like, no, you're so good. And I'm like, oh my God. Please, I'm just talking shit right now. Sometimes it's good to talk shit. I think it relieves stress. So it depends. I think there's a range of extremes on both the positive and negative side, and it depends on your personality type and what you're receptive to. But any extreme, I think, is outside of anyone's sweet spot. So extreme critical self-talk is obviously bad, and extreme positive self-talk can be bad as well. I think if you assume that everything you do is perfect and great, you're going to lose that little bit of pressure to improve. But at the same time, you can also be in a positive self-talk mode where you highlight the fact that you can improve. Maybe you're not there yet, but you can get there, which I think is a very positive thing. That's a positive self-talk that I always partake in, and I pass that on as well. But if you go to the extreme, you're perfect and you never need to change, well, then just fucking give up. Why are you doing anything? Why are you even signing up for the competition? You're perfect. Why do you need to test it, prove it? So I think all competitors have a little bit of that edge to them. I don't think anyone who's a true competitor has that, like, that belief that they're perfect and don't need to prove it or whatever.
When you win a match, you might think you might have an automatic somehow say it doesn't count. When someone compliments you on your gameplay, you might have an automatic thought.
People don't like it when strong players say they're bad because people don't like when strong players say they're bad because if this player who's much better than you calls himself bad, then how must he see you? Yeah, like way worse. Like subhuman, like don't even look at them in the eye. Like why are you breathing the same air as them? Like grovel at their feet, please. Come on, like, you know, I hate that. To me, I've seen that mentality a lot. Top player A goes, man, I'm ass, I messed this up, I lost, I'm disappointed. Random dude B is like, well, if you're ass, then what does that make me? Brother, he's not fucking talking about you. You're passing that off as like some sort of like, hey, you should be more mindful of how you make other people perceive themselves. No, you're being a self-censored dick. When people say that, I literally think that you are just injecting yourself, and someone is clearly venting about their own personal aspirations, their own personal standards, and their own personal journey, and you're trying to come at this angle like, hey, you should be mindful. I'm so mindful of the people around me and the community and how this makes other people perceive. No, you're self-centered. You're self-censored. like you're trying to make yourself seem better than the person going through it in that moment. And you're actually being extremely self-centered. I hate when people talk like that. Obviously, when a professional athlete or whoever is talking about being critical about their own performance, they're not saying that, you know, a beginner who's giving it their all is trash too. It's a different journey. And the difference between ass and godlike is relative per person. It's always relative. This shit always gets people in a bind. It always gets everyone so pissed off. Like when certain people talk about master rank, for example, for master rank, you know, some people say, not me, some people say getting to master rank in Street Fighter 6, you know, it's like not that hard, you know? But that's relative to one person's standards. Not saying who says that, but it's relative. Okay? But if you were to voice that opinion, there'd be a lot of people very angry at you on the internet. A lot. A lot of people. So, you know, I'm just saying, you know, I hate that opinion. See, already in the chat. Already in the chat. So what is ass and godlike is relative per person.
When you win a match on your game, you take it and somehow say it doesn't count. When someone compliments you on your gameplay, you might have an automatic thought like, they're just being nice. When you win a match, you might think, I was lucky, or they were going easy on me. Of course, you might want to be humble like Ryu.
Sometimes you did get lucky, though. So, yeah, I feel like, once again, a lot of these discussions are about... I have met these types of players along the way. I knew some guy in Gainesville who was always extremely down on themselves. Always. So I feel like this video is speaking to that sort of player, a guy I knew personally. And yeah, any win, whatever, they would brush it off, lucky, this, whatever. So you shouldn't be that type of negative Nancy in regards to yourself. And you have to hype yourself up and think you're the shit a little bit to improve as a competitor. That's required. So I think so far that's what this video is covering. But I also do believe in being self-critical and have an honest reflection of your performance, because sometimes you do get lucky. Sometimes you get lucky. I'm not saying you got lucky to the point where the entire game was decided on a dice roll or a coin flip. But in micro interactions, you absolutely get lucky sometimes in fighting games. Fighting games have a shit ton of luck. Now, you had to be good enough to even have the match come down to a couple of interactions for things to get lucky. But if you're gonna lose the set, and then the dude drops the combo that they've done 1,000 times, and then you have full meter and you kill them, well, yeah, you did your thing to get them down to the final round and then to get them down 40% so that your 65% CA combo would kill them. But you absolutely got lucky. 99 times out of 100, you would have lost that set. And you should reflect back on those interactions that led to that. Otherwise, you're not going to improve. You get what I'm saying? You take those, but sometimes you have moments of luck that help you get that way. So I will also voice those opinions in my matches. Like, oh, I got lucky in that interaction. They messed up this. Like, an unforced error occurred, which allowed me to get an advantage. If my opponent did not have that unforced error, I probably would have lost or would have been in a worse place. Let me reflect on what led to that situation in the first place and not assume that I made all the proper decisions to win, because actually I did make mistakes prior to this and I got a positive outcome from negative actions. Right? It's good to reflect on that. Be self-reflective. Yeah, I won. It says I win at the end there, but that could have easily have been the other way around. If my opponent didn't make this mistake, how can I improve? Right? Sometimes you get a little lucky. A little. Not saying that, you know, you can't get so lucky you're going to luck your way to winning Evo or anything, right? So don't assume every win you have is all luck, but be self-reflective as well.
I still don't have what it takes. I must train harder.
But at some point, you have to celebrate your victories, big or small, if you want to enjoy this activity. Even Daigo, who has written about his aversion to complacency, mentions in his book that he celebrates his victories. It's just that he keeps them short. If every time you win you think it was a fluke or I just got lucky, then you might just be disqualifying the positive. Jumping to conclusions. This is when you automatically come to a negative conclusion about something without proper evidence, basically acting like a terrible detective. There are two ways this comes about.
That's super common.
One is called mind reading, hastily assuming that others are thinking lowly of you. This is when your friend isn't responding to your text message and you immediately think they're disrespecting you when there could be a million reasons why they're not answering. Mind reading is particularly insidious when playing online ranked. Because there's little to no communication outside the gameplay, it's easy to assume that your opponent has no respect for you even when they're playing their gameplay. It's easy to...
This is 100% me. This is my sin. I can't stand a motherfucker online thinking he's nice because he got lucky as fuck. Run that shit back. I will beat your ass. That's my sin. Okay? That's me. Like, oh, you think you're good? And then maybe on the other hand, they're like, oh my god, I got so lucky. That's me. This is 100%. This is salt. Okay, so now we're getting to the salt territory. This is what starts inducing salt. We're getting to real salt territory here. So I assume the negative for sure. Sometimes I think that hypes me up to play better, but it for sure leads to negative emotions related to my online experience. For sure. The truth comes out. This has never been a secret, guys. Listen, I've never hid from the truth that I have a salt demon inside of me. You know, the funny thing is, I've always read comments or seen like people discuss things like, oh, Brian F is so much salty or bitter or whatever lately. Like, I've been reading that. I've been streaming for 10 plus years at this point. I've been reading those comments at least once every 2 years. I've always been, from day one, salty as shit. If anything, I've been learning along this journey to like not be salty, because I'm not default outside of playing online gaming. I'm not a salty person like that. So it comes out of me in this activity, and it's something I have to actively work on to control. And before I streamed, I was saltier, way saltier, right? And I think that's just part of the process of the training, of the practice, is to control those emotions and try to navigate mentally around them. And I'm not always successful at it, hell no. But that's just part of it. God bless the gamers who don't struggle with that. But, You know, I think it's normal to struggle with that. Everyone has personality flaws. Lord knows I have plenty, and that's one of them. And so this is the thing that I have to deal with and manage myself. Didn't you smash a controller? My very first arcade stick, it was gifted to me, and I was playing online ranked in Street Fighter 4, and I think it was some laggy Vega or some bullshit sliding around, and you know, woohoo! And then I lost the game. I threw the controller on the ground, I curb stomped it, and I threw it out in the dumpster. And it was a Mad Catz TE. Like, those had some some serious structural integrity. And I felt very, very, very sad about that. And then your mom asked you why you did that? Yeah, she did. Well, I came back inside and I sat down on the couch and I told my mom right away. I was very numb and depressed at that point. So I'm just keep breaking shit. Have I broken anything else since then? I like squeeze shit. I've squeezed my mouse really hard before. Same feeling after porn. Oh, brother, what are you curb stomping and throwing outside? No. No, go see a psychiatrist. Get therapy. No, no. What are you talking about? My man's need some help. Surging Pepper, thanks for the big 10 months, by the way. This is Brian's Mad Catz stick. You're welcome. What did that send me down this path? Eeny Teeny Peeny Lee, by the way, thanks for the 3 months also.
Assume that your opponent has no respect for you, even when they're playing their game just like you are. The only way you can know for sure what your online opponent is truly thinking is by having special powers.
Let's talk about power.
Which I do.
Real power.
The second way to jump to conclusions is called the fortune teller error. This is when you become pessimist Nostradamus and predict unrealistically bad outcomes as fact. It's one thing to go to a tournament and predict, I probably won't get first place, but it's another to think, when I lose, they're all gonna laugh at me. What's more realistic is that when you lose, you...
I mean, I don't know. How bad could it be, dude? How bad could it be? Like, what's the worst thing? What's the worst thing that could happen when you go to a fighting game tournament? I mean, really, you're just gonna play. You might not win, you might lose, but you know what's the worst that could? What's oh.
Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked.
Okay, never mind. It can get really bad. No, just go to the tournament. What's the worst that could happen? Come on. What's the worst? They're not gonna make fun of you or nothing. Come on.
What's more realistic is that when you lose, you'll be like over 99.9% of the entrants who will get eliminated in bracket. Fortune telling can be particularly distracting during a match. Something you often hear from the best players is not to think about the outcome of the match during the match.
게임을 하고 있는 도중에 다른 생각이 가끔 들 때가 있는데 그러면 보통 그 게임은 져요. 이거 져서 패자조로 가면은 다음 상대가 누구누군데 정말 힘들 것 같은데 어떻게 하지? 이런 생각을 할 때도 있어가지고 대회가 잘 될 때는 그런 생각 없이 그냥 게임에만 집중해가지고 잘 되는 경우가 많고.
Yeah. I think in general, I'm not sure if they're going to touch upon that, but in general, I think there's an element of focus. And when you're in the zone, when you're in the flow state, you aren't thinking about anything else besides the activity. And obviously, that's when you feel like you're playing your best. and that will correlate with more wins as you're playing your best. And I think when you are being pulled away from your flow state, there's a level of focus and attention that starts to deteriorate from that activity. And I almost feel like that's a form of like ego protection that starts happening, because as you are becoming less and less likely to succeed in a scenario, I think your mind automatically starts preparing you for the worst and also pulls you away from that activity in the moment. And it almost feels like watching yourself in third person. Like I've definitely experienced that, and I'm like, no, you gotta like get back in, stop. You're like, your perspective's being pulled out from the back of your head. You gotta get back into your own head and focus and play the game. And I really do feel like that's an element of ego protection. I think subconsciously that's the genesis of that. I've definitely experienced that before, because if you already start preparing yourself for the loss, it's going to be less devastating in the moment. So I think there's a real ego, and there's like, it's the other end of the flow state spectrum. Like when you're in the flow state in the positive sense, you're playing really well, but on the other end, I think this is the negative aspect of it. So I don't think this is just the future prediction fallacy coming into play here. I think when you're in the heat of the moment, this is also something to do with flow state. I think there's something deeper here that is occurring, because I've experienced this for sure in a lot of losses in tournament. That sensation.
Champion is gonna be barrel right to.
Every moment you think the thought, I must not lose, is a moment taken away from thinking about your opponent's next move. If you have an automatic thought that tries to read people's minds or predict the future, call it out. You don't have magical powers. Magnification and minimization. Magnification is when you take something bad and blow it out of proportion. And minimization is taking something good and downplaying its...
Yeah, but what if the opponent is like, you know, like teabagging and waking up DPO? Like, I agree that you can't mind read, but there are 100% actions in game that people are trying to communicate something to you. Like, my opponent has stopped attacking me and is teabagging over and over repeatedly. I wonder what they're trying to say. Let me not assume. This might be their optimal strategy in order to achieve a win. I must focus on the activity at hand. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you can... you don't gotta be a mind reader necessarily to know that, yeah, they do think they're better than you. Occasionally, people can communicate that in their gameplay.
Magnification and minimization. Magnification is when you take something bad and blow it out of proportion. And minimization is taking something good and downplaying its significance. A great example...
I'm not gonna lie, with the Tiger Woods example, there's a lot of material you could use for the bad and good.
As magnification is when someone taunts you during a match.
He did a taunt combo to Punk in Grand Finals of EVO.
What's interesting about taunting in fighting games is that it loses its
By the way,
power to
baller
provoke
moment,
if
right?
it
Isn't
has a
that fucking
clear
crazy? Isn't that crazy that Tokido actually did the taunt combo at EVO? That, you know, we're just talking about, oh, they're trying to communicate that they're better than me. That actually is the optimal combo right there, right? Because it's going to kill, and it has the added benefit of maybe this will fuck with his head in Grand Finals of EVO. Maybe it won't. Maybe it won't work. But there's like an... it's actually optimal in that sense. 2025 Tokido would never. He absolutely would. If he had the option in the game to do that and it would kill. Absolutely.
Interesting about
Combo to Punk in Grand Finals of EVO.
What's interesting about taunting in fighting games is that it loses its power to provoke if it has a clear benefit in the gameplay. Third Strike players expect others to use the taunt command because they know it gives characters various buffs. This is not disrespect. But in Tekken, the key charge is a move that buffs your next attack while removing your ability to block, so it's mostly useless. But it's now widely seen as a taunt even though it was designed as a move. What this all means is that for a taunt to be effective as a tool of psychological warfare, it must be useless in the game. For a useless thing to become a big deal, you need magnification, also known as catastrophizing.
Oh my god! Knuckle Dude!
On the other end, you can minimize the significance.
By the way, so NuckleDu and Kaba in groups at Capcom Cup this year, and Xiaohai and NuckleDu. You know, before NuckleDu had beef with Kaba, he had beef with Xiaohai back in the day.
Of a good thing. A common way of doing this is making your accomplishment seem smaller by comparing it to another accomplishment. Winning your first match in a tournament is a big deal until you tell yourself that it's not as good as making it out of pools.
True.
But you can be like this even if you win EVO 9 times. You can say it wasn't 10 times. And so
True.
on.
Facts.
If you can only
Step
hold
it up.
L's and not take W's, of course you'll feel like you only lose.
Exclamation point video, please, guys. Exclamation point video. Support Core A Gaming. Give a chance to watch the full thing when you have the opportunity to. Don't open the video and then not click on it and not watch it all the way through. When you get a chance, bookmark it for later. You know, favorite it, whatever. Then come back to it. Then watch the whole thing, and then like, and then subscribe, and then go to their Patreon and then donate and join that.
Emotional reasoning. This is when you think the way you feel.
I don't think you should leave a comment. You shouldn't open a video and then not watch it. I think that's actually kind of bad. It reduces the average watch time. But when you are ready to watch it, please do. Please do.
Is evidence when you lose. Emotional reasoning. This is when you think the way you feel is evidence for the truth of the situation.
Yes.
This isn't to say your feelings should never be trusted. Intuitions rooted in experience can save lives. But your feelings would not pass as proof in a serious court case. How reasonable do you think these automatic thoughts sound? I'm mad at my opponent, therefore they wronged me somehow. This game seems impossible to learn, so it is impossible to learn. I feel like I'm playing poorly, therefore I am playing poorly. Case closed.
Well, look at that.
When spoken out loud, these statements sound ridiculous. In competitive gaming, you often need to be your own.
Yeah, but if you feel like you're playing poorly... I don't know. They're getting me on the last one there. If you feel like you're playing poorly, then you must be playing poorly. Like, yeah? The implication there, though, is that there's a time where you feel like you're playing poorly, but you're actually playing well. That's an interesting take. Maybe you just guess wrong. I guess I'm taking this from the perspective of like an experienced competitor. I can see a less seasoned player really digging themselves into a weird hole based on one mistake or one like I mentioned before, eating the wake of DP. Oh, I'm playing bad, when really that's not true. I think for seasoned players, they can kind of recognize key marks of their standards of play that they're not reaching in that moment. And I think that comes through years of experience and repetition. So I guess I would trust some people's intuition on that more than others. But I guess it's true, not necessarily true, and I have seen examples of people getting into that mental rut for things that don't make sense. That's Idom winning in 6. Idom never says that he's playing bad. Or maybe he'll just say, I'm playing bad, but then I get a perfect parry and I win. But that's not really him critiquing him playing good or bad. That's him critiquing the game. Idom plays good, and Idom knows when he plays good. He just thinks the game is bad. that's a different conversation entirely. And for someone like Idom, which I kind of agree with to a degree, losing interactions, getting knocked down, and then guessing on a perfect parry and getting a lucky perfect parry and getting a back throw and winning does not make you feel like you played good. It just feels like something happened and then you ended up winning. So that's a different thing entirely. That's about game design. But I guess there is a point that you can't trust everyone's intuition. I do think high level players though can fairly accurately identify when they're playing bad though.
Own coach
Catslog TV, thanks for the 2 months.
and spits sound ridiculous. In competitive gaming, you often need to be your own coach and spit out some facts to counter your emotional reasoning. Are you actually playing worse than usual, or did your opponent find a counter to your strategy?
That's true.
Should or
also,
must statement.
that's a good point. I like that one. Okay, are you playing bad or is your opponent playing nice? That is true. Okay, yes, that is true. That is a common copium technique. Okay, you got me there, Gerald. You got me there. That is true. That does happen. That does happen. I have also seen that with slam players as well. Oh, I'm playing bad, when really they're just up against an opponent who is much better than them. Why can't it be both? I think the point is you can't. It's not objective. There are times I think a big part of being a competitor, which I definitely agree with this, and this is a big thing that I advocate for, you have to absolutely question your intuition. That's what this section was about. You can't just trust that what you feel is real. And even with certain things like your reactions, like, oh, I thought I reacted to that, I thought I did the combo here, I thought I did that, you have to boot up that replay and double check. You have to check yourself, because whatever your emotions are, they can cloud your judgment for sure. So that's very true. And there's definitely a common copium of, I'm playing bad right now, when in reality you're playing the optimal version of the strategy to your capabilities, but they had a counter to it, and you needed to actually learn a different strategy to overcome that opponent that you currently are not capable of or do not know about yet. That can happen for sure. And then you're kind of brushing off that responsibility by just claiming, oh, I'm playing bad, I'm playing at the lower end of my range of ability, but if I were near my upper echelon of my range of ability right now, I'd be winning. So that's for sure. Yeah, I tech that, exactly. Great example. I know it's off topic, but are you done with competing professional? See, I don't even know what that means, because competing professional just means going to tournaments. I still go to tournaments, so I've never been a professional full-time player. I will always compete. Is it my number one focus right now? I'd say probably not, because I don't really have a character that I care about, and I'm busy with other things, but I will still be entering CPT tournaments. So I've never been a professional player.
The psychotherapist Albert Ellis described 3 thoughts that hold us back. One is the idea that I must do well or I'm worthless. The second one is that others must treat me well or they're worthless. And finally, the third one is that the world must give me exactly what I want now or the world is worthless.
Because of the must. If you didn't masturbate, then you wouldn't awfulize, terribilize, catastrophize.
Excuse me?
Say, I can't stand it, and put yourself down.
The problem with saying
Catastrophize. If you didn't masturbate, then you wouldn't.
Masturbate? That's it. I like that phrase. So when you're saying things must do this, must be like this, must be like that, you're masturbating? Who's this dude?
Awfulize.
the third one is that the world must give me exactly what I want now or the world is worthless.
Because of the must. If you didn't masturbate, then you wouldn't awfulize, terribilize, catastrophize, say, I can't stand it, and put yourself down.
The problem with saying I should or must do something is that it creates pressure, guilt, and anxiety.
I must train harder.
This makes training feel like a burden because it's now an obligation you can fail to uphold. But if instead you were to say, I will train harder, it changes the focus from pressure to passion. There are many alternatives to saying should or must that convey your values without whipping yourself.
If you're only stuck with, I'd like very much to do well, but I never have to, then you wouldn't disturb yourself.
Now, when you say someone else should or must treat
I do believe there's a power in framing and a power in language for how you will perceive things, which could impact and shape your own reality. I don't know to what degree, though. I don't know to what degree. For example, for this example, I must practice and I will practice. I don't know how much I feel that will have an impact. I'm trying to think for myself here. Like how would that impact me? I guess I can draw a correlation in times where I say I need to practice. It is coming from a sense of frustration with time. Because I think for me, one of my biggest, and maybe a common thing for everybody, one of my biggest frustrations with life in general is time, right? I always feel I never have enough time. That is probably the number one most frustrating thing with life in general to me is time, right? There's so many things I want to do, and I never feel like I have enough time to do it. And so if I were to reflect on times where I would be like, I need to practice, the ethos and the root of that is from a source of frustration from a lack of time. And then I'll be frustrated with like doing other things that are also a priority or also things that should be done, and I'll feel frustration regarding it, and I guess it kind of spoils both activities. It spoils the current moment where I'm not doing the practicing, and then maybe when I finally get to practice, I feel rushed in the moment as well. However, I don't know if me saying I will practice instead will solve the core issue, or if the language is just a reflection of the reality. That's kind of where I don't know how much I buy the concept. I'm sure it could have some impacts, but I don't know how much it really would have. If I'm in that situation and instead of saying I must practice, I say I will practice, I don't know how much of an impact that will really have when there's still 24 hours in the day. I don't know.
You a certain way, you're putting your expectations of people unreasonably high, and when they fail to meet those expectations, which is inevitable, you will feel resentment, hostility, or anger. When playing online, someone might taunt you and you might think, they should not disrespect me like that. But if the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius were alive today, he would not be surprised in the slightest. In Meditations...
I've been interested in reading Meditations. I've been interested in that. Is that what dudes do? They hit late 20s, early 30s, and they start reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
He writes, "We're alive to me like that." But if the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius were alive today like that. But if the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius were alive...
The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Yeah, I guess, man. I guess I shouldn't beat their ass twice as hard, than, you know, teabag 3 times as hard and taunts 4 times more. I guess.
You would not be surprised in the slightest. In Meditations, he writes, "Begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet with the meddling, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and unsocial." A Stoic reminder that instead of spending energy on things you cannot control, use it on other things like getting good. The last way to use should or must...
Yeah. The thing about all of these mantras and all of these beliefs is that they're practices, right? I don't think anyone is ever perfect about that, and also it varies based on your personality type. So these are all things that I definitely agree with, and I perform, but, you know, I'm not always perfect, and so, like, I will fall back to bad habits. But these are things that are good to be reminded of. I think in general in life, there is a constant battle with your own emotions and your own mental fitness. I don't want to say mental health, but your own philosophical fitness, your own mental fitness in terms of dealing with struggles in life. And it's a practice. You have to be in shape. You have to constantly work on that. So, !video. If you want the video information, please, guys, if you're in the chat, people are asking, please provide the video information. So, I agree with this one. The best revenge is getting good for sure. If you don't want somebody to stun and then taunt you, be better than beat them so they can't stun you.
Statements is that the world should be a certain way this instant. When it's not, you feel helpless and frustrated. Perhaps you want a fighting game to be more balanced.
But this right here, this whole section is my definition of salt. You know, I have that video talking about fighting game salt. I made a video about this years ago. And my core thesis is when reality doesn't meet your expectations, that is the genesis of salt. Like, that is what causes salt to occur. And this whole section is where I feel like what I would define as salt really comes from. This is a section where I think salt actually occurs. I should have won. I should be better than them. This should be this way. Having those expectations is absolutely where salt comes from, in my opinion. I should have won. I should have stopped that. This person should not have beat me. When expectations are not meeting reality, salt is likely to occur. So I absolutely 100% agree with this section. And to me, this is like where the classic, what I would define as feeling of salt, especially in terms of being a fighting game player, when you lose and you're pissed off and salty, it comes from this mental trap right here.
You can't change it right now, but you can adapt. Labeling. What if in Street Fighter, instead of saying you lose each time you lost, it said you are a loser? This change will not go unnoticed because we know there's a huge leap between losing a game and becoming a loser.
That is brilliant. Why haven't the devs picked up on this yet? We gotta stop with it. You know, they've been talking about getting rid of losers bracket, making it lower bracket. No, we need our games to start cutting to the core. Come on. You lose. No, it's not about what the state that occurred. It's about what you are as a human, as an entity in this universe. Your role.
Loser. That's because the word loser is a label, and the problem with labels is that it reduces a complex human being into a simple stereotype.
Looks right
If
to me.
losing in a game made you a loser, then the best players of that game are all losers because they've lost more games than anyone. Using negative labels on yourself only serves to make you feel worthless. Conversely, you can use negative labels on others to protect
Equinox!
your ego, but it generates hostility.
I'm guessing that was a Burnout Fighters controller. Equinox. Back when I was a pro player.
And prevents self-reflection. If you call your opponent a coward, it's on them to change, but if you call them a defensive player, it's on you. It might feel good to label others, but it won't help you win. Personalization. This is when you put way too much blame on yourself for a
When I'm salty, I do label. I label. I do label a little. As a treat, though. As a treat. Okay, it's just like a little, I indulge a little and a little labeling. Okay?
negative outcome. This can lead to guilt and even apologizing for things out of your control.
I was playing against a player and I was about to lose the set. It was like a pretty close set. I played this character named Hawkman. He had the super that he could charge up to full charge and it would become unblockable. It was really bad. You have to be like asleep at the wheel to get hit by this. But I was like, wow, I'm gonna lose the set. I gotta make something happen. So I go for this really gimmicky setup and I win. And I'm like, oh my God, I am so sorry. It turns out when you lose in a tournament set, the last thing you want to hear is the guy apologizing to you. Being the stupid kid that I am, I was like, I'm sorry for saying sorry, and then it just like kept getting worse and worse. And then
that is actually the worst.
One of my friends said it, Willie, he said, they shouldn't call you wall jump man, they should call you apology man.
We do this because taking accountability is
The origin story. I didn't know that one. Shout out Zveneeth. Yeah, that's the worst, dude. That's like, you know, the GG's that was me. That is very tilting, obviously. But the worst is absolutely if someone beats me in ranked and then comes in and tries to apologize or tries to like downplay, that shit drives me fucking insane. I'd rather you come in and say you suck ass. I'd much rather that. I mean, ideally, you'd say nothing. You'd say nothing. And we could... This is not a time for us to become friends and interact. It's just not. We're online ranked. It's a heated moment. All right, win or lose. But the worst, beyond a GG's that was me, beyond the gloating, beyond trash talk, is trying to patronize. Just patronizing is the worst. It's the worst.
Is respectful, and it's why when accepting a loss, we say things like, this loss is all on me, I didn't train enough, and I will work hard to do better next time. But is anything really the result of one person? Imagine how strange it would be to win a tournament, go on the mic, and just say, this win is all because of me, and I deserve all the credit. Not a single person helped me in any way to get to where I am today.
Talk your shit, Gerald.
Thank me and good night.
Woo!
Neither of these statements
Talk your
make
shit.
much sense. Whether the one who loses can attribute the loss to anything else without sounding like excuses is another matter. But the truth is, no outcome, good or bad, can
True. Glad
the
he
entire
touched on
series.
this.
Whether the one who loses can attribute the loss to anything else without sounding like excuses is another matter.
It is impossible. It is impossible to talk about playing issues as a competitive player. It's impossible. It's such an unfair situation for top level players, man. It really is. And the worst part about it is, I mean, we already talked about it earlier. You could manipulate your own reality. You don't even know objectively if the setups are having any issues or not. It's so hard to know because it is a consistent problem, and there are many different configurations and many variables that impact the input delay on a setup and the quality of it. So it is often a point of technical failure that impacts the playing conditions for sure, but sometimes it's not, and sometimes you can't even tell what's going on, and so the uncertainty drives competitive players nuts. And even when there is objectively something wrong with the playing conditions that did contribute to your loss, you have no way to vent that, report it, or to make note of it without coming off like a salty bitch. It's impossible. It's really a really tough spot. That's why I always talk about we need some kind of like intermediate party between the TOs and the event organizers and the players to handle this, because there's nothing that the players can do. They have no power in the situation. It's really really unfortunate. It's a really tough spot to be in. That's why I've said in the past, I'm like, hey, anyone at a tournament, if I'm not at it, you can talk to old Brian F. I'll be the Karen. I'll be the Karen on Twitter. I'll talk to the appropriate parties and make it be known that there's an issue at hand. Because if you're a top level player, you just cannot, after a loss, talk about the quality of the setups. It's something that you'd have to like talk about the next week with a well-structured argument and essay. You know, you'd have to have that shit proofread over and over. You know, you can't, it's just one of those things that you just are not, it's not good optics. No matter, even if you're 100% factually right and you're playing with a literal 3-second input delay, it is bad optics to talk about it after a loss at a tournament. Bad optics.
But the truth is, no outcome, good or bad, can be entirely attributed to one person. Now that you've gotten an idea of the 10 cognitive distortions, you might have noticed a couple of things. A person who purposefully tries to exacerbate your distortions is often called a bully, and someone who tries to fix your distortions are usually called a friend. We tend to be our own worst bully.
You'll die by your own hand.
But rarely do we treat ourselves like a friend when we have a negative automatic thought.
That's a nice jacket you've got there.
When you call yourself a complete failure, you're basically saying a villain character's win quote to yourself when you would never call your friend a complete failure who's in the same situation. You would likely say something like, a single loss doesn't make you a failure, which is true, so you wouldn't just be lying to spare their feelings. Why not treat yourself like your own best friend when you have cognitive distortions? This is what David Burns calls the double standard technique, and it's powerful because it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But even with ways to reduce salt,
Interesting. I thought this was going to be a video about salts. This is a video about therapy, dude. This is a FGC salt video masquerading the fact that this is actually a complete therapy session.
not everyone wants to be salt-free. If you could press a magic button that made all your salt and negative thoughts go away, would you do it?
No, I would never press that button.
I would never press that button because sometimes, you know, we get motivated by salt, I think.
People who don't get salty aren't winners, in my opinion. I don't think there's a player that I know that don't get salty that wins. Every single player that y'all see win Street Fighter or NBA championship, NFL, Super Bowl, whatever the case may be, every last one of them, you can find extremely salty clips about them. So I think no one who wins anything in life is happy all the time. You know, it's just impossible. You have to have that little salt because that's like the competitive edge. If you don't have that, I feel like you can't really go far in competitions.
This is so interesting to me. And, you know, people romanticize so much the stoic warrior, the competitor who never shows any level of edge, any level of salt, and they're always respectful. they romanticize that, they idealize that competitor, and in different cultures I think they live up to that idealized version of the perfect warrior to different degrees. And it's so strange how I think this, what Punk said, is absolutely true, but we demonize so much when competitors, athletes, whatever, show that salt. It's so demonized. And of course there's different degrees of it. It can get really toxic when people don't manage it right, you know. There's different degrees of it. And I think the whole point of the journey, like, I agree with those points. I think the point is you have to, the salt is part of the journey, and it's part of something that you have to work through, and being efficient at working through that and processing that and handling it is required to grow. I do think that's part of the journey. But we know what happens publicly. You see people talk so much shit. It is insane. Like the audience, the couch warriors, they love to talk, so they try to pick at you, they try to get a rise out of you. And in the FGC it's really interesting because we have two complete dichotomies, right? We have like the Western FGC, and then we have like the Japanese FGC. The Japanese FGC is what everyone refers to as like this perfect culture, this perfect community where no one gets salty and they're the best, which is not true. But it is interesting. Like, when have you seen someone like really fucking salty? Like what you could reference like a Punk or someone else in Western FGC. It's so rare in the Japanese FGC. Now there's like, oh, that hurts. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that happens. Things like that happen. Oh no, that was unfortunate. Okay, I accept it. I move on, right? No one, it's so rare to see like a crash out. It doesn't happen from what comes over the fence, right? Well, that we get to see. So, and it does exist. And I think like that's a big thing that people from the outside looking in, they have this weird idealized version of the Japanese FGC where like it doesn't exist. And that's the ideal way to be. I think salt in Japan is expressed in tears of frustration, not as accepted in Western culture. Tears of frustration. I mean, that was like Tokido versus Daigo in Kimono Michi 2018, right? But that to me, like I said, I think salt, that is a form of salt, but I think it's different than like the anger salt. I think that's very different. I'm talking about like the smashing your controller, destroying your desk, whatever kind of salt. I think that's very, very different. Sorry, we got bugs in the house. Too much glaze in the Japanese FGC to taste salt. Yeah, it's very interesting. I just see that all the time. How people, you see that from Twitter warriors and YouTube commenters all the time who don't actively participate and compete, how they idolize the Japanese FGC. The salt is there, but it's definitely expressed differently. I find Japanese players very boring. It's a different culture, man. It's very different. It's a much more reserved culture in that sense. So what's interesting to me about it is I wonder how many top level players are like really salty, but they're just extremely good at processing it and subduing it. I wonder. Humans are humans, dude. Obviously your cultural experience and upbringing will color how you process it and deal with it. Nemo spits though. Nemo is like a caricature. He's playing a part. Obviously it has a source of truth. He genuinely hates Zangief, but when people talk about Nemo being salty, it's like, it's humorous. It's not, you can watch it. Dude, people get salty and it's ugly. Punk has gotten salty sometimes and it's ugly. I've gotten salty before and it's ugly. I'm talking about real fucking not pretty. You don't want to see it. You don't want to be around it. Salt. That shit exists. It's not a ha-ha hee-hee. Sometimes it's like, oh, this is getting toxic. Like, that shit exists. That shit exists. I'm sure plenty of us are guilty about it. So that's what I'm talking about. You never really see that from the Japanese FGC. So I feel like there's a different way of processing it. Because I do believe that to a degree you need salt to motivate yourself to keep going. Same thing with ego, right? It's also related to ego. People also idolize players and competitors who seem to have no ego. But I also think that's kind of a farce as well. I don't think no one has no ego. You must have an ego to want to compete. You absolutely must. Now, how much of that you present, how much of that you lean into, that is different. And I think culturally that will color those expectations. So like in the West, it's much more like revered to be egotistical and respected to a degree and entertaining, right? It's different. Whereas like for like a Japanese player, obviously it's not like that. It's very rare for someone to display that much level of ego. So it's interesting how at the same time people demonize that while it attracts them like moths to a flame. It's what drives viewership. People act like they hate players who are salty and hate players who are egotistical, but at the end of the day, you watch. That is what drives engagement. It drives engagement. Now, I'm not saying that things should get toxic and that should be the center focus. And there's other ways as well to like get narratives and get stakes and everything. But if it's two top level players who have no ego, no salt, and there's no story between them, and they're just godlike at the game, that shit can fall flat narratively. That shit can really fall flat narratively. That happens occasionally. I think people talk about FGC needing drama to a kind of an absurd degree. I don't think it needs that much drama, and I think drama naturally forms just based on competitors playing for high stakes with, you know, putting all their eggs into this basket of being the best player on the planet. I think there's naturally drama that occurs from there beyond interpersonal relationships. So I don't think that we need drama from interpersonal relationships necessarily. I do think they can add a different spin to it. To me, I do also not like people who are like, oh, we need drama. I think you're a bad actor in the FGC if you act that way. If you only tune into things because two people have personal drama between each other, I kind of think you're a little bit of a parasite. A little bit. And I think you should go watch a movie or a play. You know what I mean? I do think you're kind of messed up in the head, and this is a hobby about video games. I think that should be something that adds flavor to interactions. It can enhance things, but if you require that, and you never care about the game itself, you have outgrown, or you no longer have the actual connection to what this is about. We're playing video games at the end of the day. But I do think seeing people care about what they're doing does enhance it for sure.
For me, bad. If you don't have that, I feel like you can't really go far in competitions. For me,
make it like WWE. I feel like I got to ban the WWE thing in my chat. I think every time that is brought up, I think that is the stupidest thing. It drives me nuts every single time. Every single time, because you are outing yourself as a tourist who does not go to tournaments, does not go to locals, and does not like. I hope you realize you do that, right? Like, to me, that means that you see these. I know these two. I know these three people. You see these three people on the screen right here? I spoke to them in person 2 weeks ago. I have slept in the same room with some of these people. I shared a bed with Punk way back in the day. We're broke going to tournaments. Literally, we were in a tournament, random Motel 8. 5 people in that hotel room back in 2017, going to random tournaments. Straight up. There's one bed. 5 people. People on the floor. No, we only fit 3 people in the one bed. It was an extra large king size bed. So what I'm getting at, is, whenever I see the WWE thing, to me, I'm like, you really think that these aren't real people? That's just the FGC experience. If you haven't gone to a tournament with like way too many people in one hotel room, because all of you are broke as fuck trying to just make it and get to the events, then I really do think you've missed out on a core FGC experience. 100%. I've had way more than 5 people in a single hotel room before. Way more. That is extremely normal. Not anymore. No, I'm an adult. I get my own room now. Absolutely. No, hell no. Hell no. That was back in the day, dude. Trying to get to a tournament no matter what. I'm way too old for that shit now. When I first had my own hotel room at an FGC event, at the end of the day, I could go back to my own room, you know, get cozy, fart out loud, not give a care in the world, take my shoes off, get in that bed and not talk to anybody. Oh my God. Amazing. Amazing. I never want to go back to that. I never want to go back to that. That is the best part of the best part of a tournament is when you can go back to the hotel room and not talk to anybody. Oh my God. My favorite part. But yeah, these are real people. It's not WWE. That's my point. It's not WWE. I think the drama forms naturally from the fact that people are salty, they care, they want to win, there's an ego involved, and also, like, then that shows in the gameplay as well. They're doing whatever it takes to win. There's natural drama in competition. WWE are real people? I'm so sorry that you live in a world where you think WWE is real. I don't what is wrong with this wrestling? I'm seriously, I'm gonna ban this word. It feels like you guys have been in the ring yourself a little bit too much. Like, you have brain damage. I'm sorry. What are you talking about? What are you saying? There's no need for a forced narrative because it's fucking real. The FGC is real. None of this is scripted. It's real. Wrestling is fake. It is scripted. It is a drama. It is a soap opera for dudes. It's a soap opera with large, muscular, sweaty dudes. That's what it is. Okay? Not saying that that's wrong to enjoy. I'm just saying, remember, that's what you're talking about. I'm talking about fighting games over here. You're talking about large, sweaty dudes oiling up with each other. And I'm trying to talk about fighting games. So we don't have to keep trying. I know it's all you want to think about. We don't have to keep bringing that comparison to each other. Okay? I don't even dislike wrestling. I just the insinuation that fighting games, real competition is drama on its own. That's all I'm saying. You don't need to force storylines. If you present the opportunities with the competitive formats, if you give the players the opportunity to express themselves, it will come naturally. Pause. That's my point.
It's necessary for me to realize what's wrong. So salty itself is okay, not bad. It's up to you how to use it.
So if salt is a fuel that motivates players to get better, then why are we trying to eradicate it? Thinking I'm a complete failure after losing means you have high standards for yourself. Getting angered by your opponent taunting you likely means you have a sense of dignity and fairness. When you personalize a negative outcome, even if it wasn't your fault, it shows that you are empathetic. So instead of a magic button, Burns suggests you think of it as a magic dial. For example, I'm a complete failure dialed down is I wish I did better, which serves the same purpose without making you overly sad.
Okay.
By toning down the excess salt instead of removing it altogether, you can still do you while having enough salt to season your next victory.
Use your salt from today to season your next victory.
So the question remains, why play competitive games that put you through all this?
Punk, yeah. I mean, he's got to feel some kind of way after that. What a crazy run.
Because playing with others is a chance to learn about yourself in an environment where mistakes are not life or death.
He finally did it. You can say anything you want about this kid. He is an Evo champion, and you can never take that away from him.
In the book, The Anxious Generation, Jonathan Haidt argues that children need to go out and play more with real people instead of being isolated to their smartphones and other screen-based activities.
We have overprotected our children in the real world and underprotected them online.
He writes, "It is an unsupervised, child-led play where children best learn to tolerate bruises, handle their emotions, read other children's emotions, take turns, resolve conflicts, and play fair." Though he acknowledges the benefits of gaming, he is skeptical that online gaming could be as beneficial as hanging out with friends in the real world. I agree, which is why I think offline gaming is the perfect complement. This is where your ability to accept defeat and handle emotions is tested in front of real people.
I would tell the salty guy, that whatever your behavior is, be it salt or rage, it's gonna affect other players.
I don't know if they're going to start mentioning this, but this is an interesting turn to take because it's actually so much easier to not be salty in real life because I think it immediately humanizes your opponent. And like they mentioned before, like a big part of like when I get salty is the mind reading phenomena. I will assume he thinks he's actually good. So when you can see them there in person, and they're also just a human, and they're not jeering me to my face if they win, it usually, even if they play like a complete piece of shit, that's what the gameplay is saying. But in real life, they're like, "Hey, good game, whatever." And I'm like, "Well, you're not literally the worst person in the world, so I can accept it." You know what I mean? Like, your gameplay is kind of like, you stepped on my shoes and spit in my face a little bit, but in real life, you're kind of nice, so I can get past it. But online, you don't get that. So I feel like online, it's way easier for me personally for what I tend to suffer with. That makes me way more salty. And in real life, it's a lot easier to deal with. I'll be salty about how a game went for sure. Like, and there's been tournaments where I'm very salty. But it's never the same way as it is online. Also, with a ranked session, I think it compounds, like the way matchmaking and everything works. It's very easy for salt to quickly compound. And just in general at a tournament, that's not going to be possible. You lose 2 sets, you're out. And if you're playing casuals at a setup, like usually you're rotating, so you take breaks. So I think you also have time to digest your salt as well. What's up, Sham? This is why I love playing sets online, because I usually know the person and it immediately changes the attitude towards the matches. That's true. Just knowing the person you're playing with can change it. I also think playing sets with somebody you know and you respect their skill level also matters, because part of also the mind reading phenomena and the other issue is like you assume the other player is bad and I should be beating them, right? So if you're playing with someone who you're like, they're a strong player, win or lose, you're like, okay, I have an appropriate challenge to improve versus someone else where you don't trust them and you think you should beat them. It's different.
So the people, when I told them that, they tend to control their salt better. They're forced to control because they don't want to look bad, as a human. And in that way, they slowly improve, but they start to learn how to control something they never ever do. So it's a chain effect that eventually I realized it works very good and it became very healthy for the whole community.
It's like you're basically processing the salt to become a better person, right? You're not acting on emotions right away. So, it's building character.
And this is why I feel the offline open bracket fighting game tournament is so
interesting. I wonder if there are any prominent examples of notoriously salty online people improving the building community. Interesting. On the flip side, there's plenty of compilations of people being salty offline. That does happen. People definitely crash out offline, unfortunately. Controllers get spiked. Seems like every other Smash tournament, someone's spiking a controller. That's an exaggeration. I don't, that's not a real stat. Smash community gets ragged on a little bit too much. But I think it happens a bit more often. I think if I were to bet, I would bet that a Smash controller getting spiked happens more than, you know, a leverless or arcade stick or PlayStation pad. GameCube controllers are just so spikeable. I actually agree with that. I do think part of that is also not just due to the community difference, but like the actual peripheral difference. What does spiked mean exactly? To throw aggressively onto the ground with as much force as you can, straight down. If you're throwing a tantrum offline, I think you have some emotional issues to work out. Yeah. It happens. But in general, that is what community is for. Like, literally what CN said, right? Like, I think more and more we don't have community. And that's part of what allows us to work through these things. It's funny, though. You know, this whole thing, I was kind of disagreeing with the angle they're approaching it from, because I think Salt is different than Despair. It's funny, I did have a session one time at my local in Miami. This was at Arcade Odyssey in South Florida, near Kendall in Miami. And I guess this must have been 2015, maybe. I graduated in 2015 from college, and I lived at home for a few months before moving out and getting a job. And maybe it was around then, or maybe it was earlier. But we went to a session, and I had a really bad session for myself. We were doing just, I don't know if there was a tournament that day. Probably not. Might have just been playing some games. And I was playing with like JC, who was my kind of like mentor sensei, kind of on my level. And for the most part, like everyone was challenging. Players were challenging for me, but I was on like the upper echelon in terms of level. But I was having a bad day, relatively. And then JC was beating the crap out of me. And I remember, and I think other people were beating the crap out of me that I usually beat too. And I remember just being like, I'm fucking done. Like, I was just so done. Done. I was just like, I cannot, I'm quitting. I'm out of here. I can't do this. 4K PP Yun Brian F era? My Yun was never 4K player points. I was a Balrog main. Yun was like my 5th character. But I just remember crashing out. I gotta stop saying that. I wasn't crashing out. That's not the term, should be used for much more extreme things. I apologize. I was just very much distraught in that situation. And I literally got up and I started playing air hockey instead. It's at an arcade. Arcade Odyssey actually is a very nice arcade with like actual Japanese arcade machines and everything, and fighting game cabs. I went and played air hockey. I had the 1,000-yard stare, and JC was like, "You good, man?" And I'm like, "No." Because normally I'm locked in. I am grinding games. I always, when I went to tournaments and meetups, I was always playing as many games as I could. I was locked in. I never fucked around. Never went to go whatever, play other games or go to dinner. No, I wanted to stay and play more sets. I was grinding. And so me playing air hockey, JC knew something was wrong. And I was like, there's no point. I think I was telling JC, like, there's no point. Like, I'll never get better, or I'll never get good enough, whatever. And he was like, what the hell are you talking about, man? He was like, what the hell? What are you? Like, shut up. I was like, you don't understand. This is the end. And then it wasn't the end. It was fine. It was fine. It was fine later on. But it was bad. And it's funny, me and JC, what we used to do in college, I would go to his house and we would play casuals. He was, you know, he was always here, right? I was down here and I was trying to like catch up to him. And eventually I could start winning games versus him and start taking sets. And eventually I did win a tournament, a local tournament against him, right? But I would just go to his house and just play till I was like, fuck this, I'm gone. We'd both, hey, how's it going? Whoa, yeah, what's up, man? What's up? Fuck you, I'm out of here. See ya tomorrow. That's basically what we did. Played until one of us was pissed. And JC would get salty too. If I started getting games, JC was also very salty. But it just happened less because he would usually be beating me. So I would like take the L's for longer. JC Salt built up quicker, but I got less wins. So I would just like beat my head against the wall of trying to improve versus JC. Like hours of playing and losing. Like every 5th or 6th game I would get a win. Maybe every 7th game I'd get one win.
Valuable, and I never want to see it die off. It's one of the final vestiges of face-to-face human interaction in competitive gaming where anyone can join, get salty.
He main Sagat, but he played everybody.
This was Gerald from Corey Gaming. Thanks for watching.
Woo!
This video is sponsored by all you patrons and YouTube members who directly support this channel.
Woo!
It is greatly appreciated. Members get full access to all podcast episodes, including the ones featured in the video you just saw, as well as extended interviews.
Honestly, I think salt is only a problem if it becomes physical.
But you can still access the best bits of the podcast for free by checking out our new YouTube channel called The Core A Lounge. What was your kind of foray into Street Fighter, I guess, in fighting games in general? Were you like a Punch-Out person randomly or something? And later, I don't know. We'll also be moving our live stream over there. And if you like what you see, please consider subscribing to the new channel. Thanks for your support, and see you next time.
Corey Gaming. Good video. I enjoyed it. Kind of a therapy session. I enjoyed that. I guess I do still fundamentally have a different opinion on what salt means, but I guess if you approach it from the idea of salt being a spectrum or a dial for how the degree of salts, I can get with that. But I do think, in my opinion, there's a bit of a distinction between salt and like despair and negative self-talk. They all come from a negative place, but I think particularly salt is about expectations not meeting reality. If you set forth negative expectations and those negative expectations become fulfilled, I don't think that's the same thing as salt. That is just negative self-talk and that is obviously detrimental to your goals of improving, right? So I think those are important things to cover, but I think salt really is all about expectations not meeting reality. I think there's a very big distinction there. They're all connected a little bit. I don't know, because you can definitely be the type of person who has negative self-perception and enacts negative self-talk and not get salty, in my opinion. In fact, I would argue that you're more likely to be salty if you're someone who has an ego and believes you're supposed to win, and then you don't, and then you are salty. I think that's just how it works. So I think it's a little bit different. That's the only thing I might have clarified. It is a related topic, but I think salt is a specific emotion. Like, if you go into a match, I expect to lose, I'm so bad. Oh, I lost. That just reaffirms my belief that I'm so bad. Bleh. That's not salt to me. That's not salt. Salt is, this fucking scrub is beating me. There's no fucking way I'm losing. I lost to this fucking scrub. This game is trash. This character is trash. You know what I mean? That's salt. I think it's a completely different process. IMO. Both are things that competitive players struggle with, and this is a very valuable video with valuable information covering it and tips to improve on it. 100%. I believe that. I just think they're different. They're different. Connected, yes, all part of the competitive journey and managing your mental state to be optimal to handle the ego-shattering event that is fighting game competition. But slightly different. But great video, though. If you're frustrated at yourself, that's also salt. Yeah, but negative self-talk does not have to be frustration. I wouldn't call believing that you are worthless frustration. You can be frustrated at yourself, though, and that could lead to those feelings. But I don't think they're the same feelings. They're not necessarily the same systems. They can be connected, but they're not the same. It's all how you frame it. No, I don't think so. I think they are different paths that could lead to different outcomes. IMO. I'm not a psychologist nor a neuroscientist, but in my mental framework theory, I believe that they are different. Obviously, I'm just a dude on the internet. The stream muted. It looks like Brian is in the booth recording his mixtape. Yeah, I've been standing this whole time, so I gotta shift my weight. Some people are more likely to get angry at a loss, others just get sad. Well, I've been both. So, from my experience, right, when I'm angry at a loss, it's when expectations don't meet reality. I am salty that this combo dropped, or I'm salty that I missed that cross cut that I practice over and over, whatever. And then if I get sad, it's from a sense of despair, of helplessness. Salt is almost like I'm on the precipice of victory, or I believe I know enough, or my ego believes I could or should have won, and therefore I'm salty. Despair comes from the feeling that it's helpless. There's nothing I could possibly do to win. I will never be able to win. I will never be able to achieve this goal. Give up. I think it's completely different origins, and I think the emotions feel different, and they are inspired by different circumstances. So that's why I'm just saying I don't think they're the same thing. I think there are two pitfalls that can occur in a competitor's journey for sure, but I think they're different processes. Do you have advice on respecting my ranked opponent so I don't get salty? I mean, I fail at that all the time, but what helps with me is, like, say when they do something good, like verbalize that, you know, acknowledge when people do things well, and to also what else can you do? I just feel like talking through the choices that are being made and thinking about the actual actions, I think that really helps when you're in a match, because then you're actually going through and more objectively looking at what's going on. So if someone does something and it punishes you or catches you off guard, you can say that you weren't thinking of that option. So I just think verbalizing those actions and what's going on can really help. But also just, yeah, manage your pacing. Taking breaks for sure is huge. The problem with ranked is it's so addicting. You get caught in the vortex and you go down a salty path. I think that is something to avoid. the best thing you could do if you're like really trying to eat your vegetables is play that one rank set and then open up the replay viewer and go and watch the replay and try to learn from it. You also have to celebrate your small wins. That was a part of the video as well. I think that's really important. If you're focusing on just winning and losing, that can make matches really stressful. But if you are concerned about practicing a specific technique or a specific punish, a specific combo, utilizing a certain tool, if you focus on those smaller wins, you can at least make progress towards an objective goal. And even if you don't win the overall game, you can feel accomplished in that sense. So I think having clear focused goals can also help to reduce that. Whereas if you're just aimlessly playing for the sake of winning to satisfy your ego, you are setting up an expectation which is much easier for you to fall short of and to lead to salts. So if you have more of a bite-sized and focused clear goal, it's much easier to feel like you're able to make progress towards that regardless of the circumstances around it. If you don't have that clear goal and it's either too broad, vague, or too far away to achieve, all these setbacks really feel much more impactful. So that's another way on the other end where you can help reduce salt, in my opinion. You can measure your salt by comparing your smile to your cardboard Brian F. See, this is the best I got. Justin Wong, when he's tight about people talking about Moment 37, you know, he's got a lot more to fall back on. Where's his trophy case? See, Justin got all this. I just have that guy right there. It's not as easy. It's not as easy. McDucky Swag, thanks for the big 7 months. Comparison is the theft of all joy. Yes, I agree, but also I'm just pointing out why objectively the strategy of being like, wait a minute, I'm the GOAT, it doesn't work as well for everybody. For Justin, anytime he's feeling down, he can be like, wait a minute. Oh, all my beautiful trophies. You know what I mean? You can just very easily observe this and be like, you know what? This random rank set that I lost, not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal. I will be okay. Wait, I'm Justin Wong. Justin would trade all of that for one cardboard cutout of Brian F. He would? Dude, Justin, hit me up. I will take one complete Justin Wong trophy and medal collection from his historic and legacied career in fighting games, please. In return, you get one cardboard cutout of Brian F. with his 2024 Texas Showdown trophy. Seems like a good deal to me. Wouldn't that be sick if I just like had Justin Wong's entire trophy set up? What a crazy thing to have. Has Justin ever won Street Fighter Evo? Pre-2009, maybe? But it's mostly for Marvel. There's a lot of Street Fighter Evo champions from the pre-09 era when they had like 15 Street Fighter games running at once. What does he have? 9 Evos? I think he won a team tournament one, right? Does that count? So he won none of them? Street Fighter 3 Third Strike teams. Yeah, that's what he won. Sheesh. Look at this. I don't know when they added this section to the Wikipedia page. Players with multiple championships. Justin Wong has 9. Sonic Fox has 7 post 09. That's crazy. But yeah, it's mostly in Marvel. Like I said, it's kind of weird to even count the pre-09 Evos for Street Fighter, especially because there's so many weird things. Like, yeah, in 2009, he won the Street Fighter 3 Third Strike 2v2. How much do you really weigh that, right? I post 2009 thing.
That's a scary creature, I'm not gonna lie. W Kid, if it weren't for Kid, we'd probably be going crazy right now. All right, 9. We're good. We can end the day. Should I end the day or do an extra order? She has 189. I feel like we do an extra order for more money. No lie. I feel like we need to. We need the extra money, bro. Lock in. I sold. It's in the W's. That's way on the other side of the warehouse. I just sold. Yo, Nikki with the 10 gifted. W, Nikki with the 10 gifted. And it's W2? It's on the opposite side of the warehouse. It's $32. Let's just risk it. Y'all want to risk it? What have I done? I will never forgive myself for what I've done. I'll never forgive myself. Why have I done this? I'm just trying to make some extra money. The scanner's completely useless because I can just look down at my phone. The scanner's so useless. Was it worth? Chad, it was so worth. It was worth! Let's go! Worth. And we have room to do like 1 or 2 more. Oh, we're getting some extra money, dude. Let's go! Kitty. Hey, Kitty, you can't say I ain't putting food on the table for us. I'm going crazy with it. Oh, it's right outside. It's right outside. Greed. I'm doing it for Kitty, man. We still have 133 out of 300. He's going that way. So we might get lucky and get one on this side of the warehouse. Let's see. Going past P. Should I go for it? Chat, we need the extra money, bro. Chat, we need the extra money. It's for Kitty, bro. Erica with the 5 gifted. W, Erica. Yeah, should we just go to bed? It's right there. Chat, I don't know. We gotta wait. He's right outside. We gotta wait for a minute. He's right there. Chat, Kitty needs food and toys, man. And we need them running shoes. Yo, this is unironically like an outstanding concept for a game, and it's executed really well. This is actually this is like really good. Like, this is crazy good, I'm not gonna lie. Kobe. I can sneak over to P. For Kitty. Why did I do this? It's in 2. Why didn't y'all tell me it was... No. Hold on, bro. Should we just go to bed? It's in P2. Like, that means it's on the back end. Hey, yo! Yo! Kitty, should I do it? Okay. She said yeah. Kitty, I can't do it. I can't do it, Kitty. He's camping the P aisle! Pause! He's in the P aisle! He's where I need to go! Why is he I'm just trying to make some extra money, man! If he would look, if he would leave the P aisle, come to this side and go way down, we could finesse it. I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes, okay? And if we can't get an opening, we're just gonna go to sleep, yeah? Wait. Chat, we might have an opening. Chat, we might have an opening. P202. That is so scary, bro. That is... Keep going. Oh my goodness, man! Bro! The clutch is insane! insane! That was way closer than I thought it was going to be. We did it for Kitty, though. Yo, I thought we was cooked. Chad, I'm not going to lie. I thought we was cooked. Type 1 if you thought we was cooked. Kitty. Hey, I'm making us some extra bread, though. All that for what? For this little thing? How much is it worth? I don't even know how much it's worth. I forgot. Bro, that was wild. We're good, though. How much was this for? 30 bucks. Was that worth? Hey, we got the most out of that shift. Dude, our quota was 85 bucks. We brought in 153. Yo, boss, where's my raise at? I'm over here dodging monsters. I ain't seen my co-workers in years. Where's my raise? Oh, we're cooked. 105 is the quota. Oh, no. We gotta get 105. Yo, only sour with the Hunter gifted. Yo, give me some W's for only sour with the 100 gifted subs. Lord have mercy. Give me some W's for only sour with the 100 gifted. Chat, W only sour for real with the 100 gifted subs. Appreciate that, man. W only sour, chat. Well, I really appreciate the 100 gifted. Thank you. That's crazy. W only sour. Appreciate you. Lock in, chat. What is this? Day number 3? We got to buy some stuff for Kitty here, but we got $153 in the wallet. Look. So guaranteed, we need to buy the running shoes. $150. What is that? HR? Man. Chat. What should I get her, bro? Should I get an upgraded litter box, low-key, or a fluffy cat bed? A toy? Let's get the ball toy for $30. Chat, we're blowing money. We need them running shoes. We gotta save up for them running shoes. That didn't do much at all. What else? Fluffy cat bed, that would probably add a lot, right? Let's do it. $100. We're broke again. Chat, just like that, we're broke again. $350? Was it worth? Okay, look, chat, Kitty has a whole bunch of stuff now. The next thing that we're saving up for, look here. We're saving up $150 for these running shoes. Because we really need those, right? We got to have those running shoes. That's the next thing on the list. She got food, a bed, some toys, lock in. Type 1 if you're locked in. Let's go. All right, Kitty, I got to get back to work. You 3? We haven't been down. That's 3. 3. That's at the very, very back of the warehouse. Lock in. Lock in. U301. We should have got the running shoes, bro. We should have got the shoes. Please don't be here. We're extending the YouTubes. YouTubes wants to extend it for one more week. Yo, Chad, it's getting extended for one more week. Chat, it's right there. Chat, please. U3. U3. U301. Chat, we're here. It's a little train toy. We're good. This ate a whole lot of time, though. This used up so much time, chat. It's there. I hear it. Chat, I hear it. Oh, no. I think it's cutting me off. Should we buy the running shoes? Look, it's giving us another chance. Should I buy the running shoes? I can't get away from them. Here's, let's do, where's Kitty, by the way? Kitty? Look here, here's what we'll do, chat. Let's get the shoes tonight, and then the next night, let's get more cat stuff. Y'all cool with that? She's cool with the little bed and stuff, yeah? Yo, Palestinian Prince with the 5, thank you. Shoes, and then the next shift, we'll get cat stuff. We gotta have these shoes. I hope they're a big help, because we can barely run. They're mid, GG, it was a scam. I mean, that's... Chat lock in. But can we acknowledge that we got like the worst order in history? That was at the complete opposite side of the warehouse, dude. Give us something better here. It's another third row. Lock in. Chat, look. We got the shoes. Lock in, okay? H3. It could be worse. I don't, there's like, there's just dead people. H2? Hear it. I gotta stay in here. I gotta get it, chat. I have to get it. This is wasting so much time. He's camping where I need to go! What am I supposed to do? What was that? What was that? Yo, chat, we're at 218 already. It's going to be less than 200 by the time we get back. We're not making it through this shift. Chat, we're not making it through this shift. 204. What is the value of this item? $37? Oh, we're working at Temu? $37 monitor. Chat, are we gonna make it through this, bro? I don't know now. We do not have much time left, bro. The things I do for Kitty, man, to put food on the table. Ain't that right, Kitty? Kitty? Kitty, ain't that right, Kitty? Oh, she's in her little bed! Oh, Kitty! W Kitty. Okay, it's second row. Look, second row. Almost anything. I don't want to jinx nothing, but almost anything is better than that last order. Like, I'm going to be real with y'all, chat. We got almost the worst possible luck ever with that last one. No lie. All right. Into O2. Let's go. You think he could get me under here? Is that a human head? Wait, what is this order that I just picked up? Clean order. Clean order. What kind of warehouse are we running here? Who ordered that? What? We still using a pack of peanuts because I got good customer service. Lord have mercy. There we go. That was a good, hey, that was a good run though. That was a good run. We're at 67 of 105. Give me another easy one. Give me a first row one. We deserve it. Yeah, GG, chat. Let's just go. Y'all ready? U303. Why is that aisle red? Oh, buddy, I don't ever want to go down that aisle. What was that flashing light there, though? What is that? There's a flashlight? Is that my coworker? What am I doing? I'm doing too much. I did too much. I gotta do this again. I sold. One if it's fine. It is not fine. Chat, it is far from fine. We only have 75 left. Kitty. Oh no. If we don't get an easy order, it's over. Chat, if we don't get an easy order, it's over. It's over. No. 58? Is there anything I can do? Chat, no, bro. It's so... Chat. We need $2! Buy food? Bro, I don't have any money. I got $3. First row? Is there any way on this planet that I clutch this? Is there anything for $3 that I can give Kitty in here? Is there anything that I can give her? Cheapest thing's $10. G201. So that's on the second row, but it's the first one on the second row. Petter, I already have, I think. Kitty. I can't pet her when she's in her bed anyway. Chat, y'all ready? Hide under the shelf. The thing is, we don't have any time to hide at all. She's at 58. We gotta lock in. This has to be so clean. G201. Would G be on the left if the K is right there? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. It's going to be to the left. A brain. That is someone's brain that we're shipping out. Oh my goodness, we did it. No way. Oh my goodness, let's go! We're good. We are good, baby! I'm not gonna lie, I thought we was 100% cooked on that one. If we would have got a third row one, there'd have been no chance. You know what? Maybe we work at like a Halloween shop or something. And these ain't real, like, stuff we're selling. You know what I mean? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm coping a little bit. Okay. There we go. Clean, chat. Hey, chat, W, employ you. There we go. Boom. Boom. Send it. Clean. We can't do no extra on this shift. We literally have no time to do extra. We sleep. What's our quota gonna be here? We still did a little extra though, right? Yeah? No! We need this to release like yesterday. I gots to have the full game. I got to. Please. Chat, go wish list that thing, please. I'm begging you. Order 13. We need this. Chat, we need this, bro. This was so good. W game, bro. Oh my, dude, that concept and everything just smooth. Yo, W game. I'm so sad it's over. Oh my goodness, I'm so sad. It comes out in a week. What? What? It comes out in a week. It comes out in a week. It comes out in a week, man! I need it to come out in 3 days. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, I need it now! W game. Oh my goodness, that was good, bruh. Chat, rate that on a scale of 1 to 10. Like, that was, yo. Hey, man, look. That was really good. I'm talking good game, bruh. The concept, the kitty action, and you get to customize the kitty so you can customize Kitty look just like Kitty and name Kitty Kitty. Keep them diapers on, chat. Get a fresh diaper on it. Spooky time again. Delirium.
Of how flimsy our institutions are and just how flippantly a bunch of fucking bloated blood money billionaire heiresses can ruin something beautiful because they're incompetent, but we presume competence because they.
Another successful Guinness World Records attempt. That's 3 in total.
Our next attempt will be the fastest time to mentally divide a 20-digit number by a 10-digit number for a set of 10.
Before any competition in mental maths, I practice about 5 to 6 hours daily. I do meditation, Surge Yoga meditation, which helps.
Ballsy. I don't take no shit from anyone.
This is the kind of math Vivek Ramaswamy wants kids to learn in Ohio.
5 to 6 hours of practice a day?
Helps me to keep calm and focused.
Since childhood, he was very good to play with numbers. At the age of 6, he started the practice of mental calculation. After research, we prepare for some.
Can I ask a real question?
Guess we have mentats now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, seriously, mentat. Can I ask a serious question though? And you guys gotta be real. Is this wasting a brain like this? Like, obviously, this kid's brain is special. And he can do crazy things with it. Are we wasting his brain? Having him do 6 hours of addition a day? Because guys, I hate to let you know this. Addition, we've fucking figured it out. Right? It does not fucking matter. Addition, division, subtraction.